The threat of a global catastrophe, the very thing driving Elon Musk's quest to explore Mars, has been vastly exaggerated. Moreover, the journey itself could become a tragedy for the explorers. According to research from the VHS Archer Laboratory, the lead scientist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, who has directly participated in preparing and executing approximately 40 space missions, stated, "According to assessments, the possibility of Earth colliding with a sufficiently large asteroid is entirely plausible, though the probability is relatively low." The scientist emphasized that NASA has developed a technology to detect fast-moving asteroids that pose a threat to Earth. Therefore, billionaire Elon Musk hardly has a valid reason left to undertake a flight to Mars. However, from the perspective of technological development and the acquisition of new knowledge, Prime Minister Recep expressed excitement about Elon Musk's involvement in this field, as he always pursues highly ambitious goals. Among the solutions for organizing a flight to Mars, researcher Till Recep noted that some life support technologies are still lacking. Scientists warn that if a crew suffers DNA damage from exposure to space radiation during a long flight to Mars, their risk of developing cancer will significantly increase. Second, after a long flight, muscles will atrophy and bone density will decrease, making it impossible for humans to perform any physical activity on the surface of Mars. Not to mention the risk of harming such a fragile creature, prolonged isolation in a cramped space also severely affects psychological well-being. Mr. Till Recep believes that to survive on Mars, humans will need to completely alter their body structure. Mutt once said he wished to die on Mars, but according to the scientist, just let him live happily right here on Earth. Previously, Elon Musk has repeatedly shared his view on the necessity of making humanity a multi-planetary species, while also relocating a portion of Earth's population to Mars to live in settlements. To achieve this goal, SpaceX is striving to develop the Starship spacecraft through a series of continuous tests. The Starship transportation system developed by SpaceX is expected to revolutionize space travel with its capability to carry 100 people simultaneously and fully reuse the entire spacecraft. The mission Elon Musk set when founding SpaceX was to pave the way for humanity to become a multiplanetary species and to build a spacefaring civilization. This goal is believed to stem from potential threats capable of wiping out life on Earth. Settling on other planets is like a life buoy, offering human civilization a chance to survive and thrive if Earth faces a catastrophic disaster. In 2016, at an international conference in Mexico, Mutt presented his theory. According to him, history could develop in two different directions. First and foremost, we will forever remain bound to Earth and inevitably face the risk of mass extinction. Humankind may also strive to evolve into a spacefaring civilization, becoming a species that inhabits multiple planets. I hope you realize that the second choice is indeed the right path to pursue. Mutt often shares his dream of building cities on Mars. He believes that for settlements to be self-sustaining, they will need a large population. To turn this dream into reality, you need a vehicle specially designed for outer space missions. Starship is a combined rocket booster and spacecraft capable of carrying over 100 people per trip to Mars. The Starship system is designed to be fully reusable after each launch. This ensures that the main body of the rocket is not left in the ocean or burned up upon re-entering the atmosphere. The main body of the Starship system can then be reused and continue flying, helping SpaceX save costs. This system consists of two parts, a rocket named Super Heavy and a spacecraft called Starship. When assembled, this system will stand 121 meters tall and is also known as Starship. Featuring a heat-dissipating wing design, cooling fins, and premium stainless steel material. The Starship's design evokes a sense of nostalgia, as if it were taken straight from the spacecraft of the golden age of sci-fi cinema. The spacecraft section, also known as the upper stage, will be 50 meters tall. The section closest to the bow will serve as the payload bay, capable of transporting large numbers of people or cargo to distant destinations in space. The central section of the ship contains the launch fuel area. The Starship uses a mixture of methane and liquid oxygen as fuel to power the 6 Raptor engines at its tail. The idea of producing methane on Mars as rocket fuel for the return trip to Earth was proposed by Lan Mo. According to the billionaire, besides the ability to generate significant thrust. Methane can indeed be produced from subsurface groundwater on Mars and atmospheric CO2 through a chemical process called the Sabatier reaction. SpaceX has spent over 10 years researching and developing the high-performance corruptor engine. The fuel combustion process will be designed in stages to minimize the loss of propellant. Producing Starship fuel from available resources on Mars will help achieve the necessary level of autonomy. The 71-meter-tall Super Heavy booster will be fully loaded with 3,400 tons of methane fuel, delivering a maximum thrust of up to 76 million newtons powered by 33 Raptor engines. This rocket can deliver a payload of up to 150 tons into low Earth orbit. The power of Super Heavy even surpasses that of the massive Saturn V rocket, the system that launched the Apollo missions to the Moon in the 1960s. For long-duration flights like those to Mars, the crew could spend up to 9 months each way. To ensure enough space for 100 passengers per trip, Elon Musk is studying the installation of around 40,000 storage compartments in the payload area near the spacecraft's nose. The cargo hold will also include common living areas, storage spaces, exhibition rooms, and a shelter zone for solar storm events. Starship could also participate in NASA's Artemis program, with the goal of establishing a sustainable human presence on the Moon. In 2020, SpaceX signed a $135 million contract with the agency to refine the Starship's design, turning it into a crewed lunar lander. The version custom-designed for flights under the Artemis project will not be equipped with a heat shield or control surfaces to return to Earth. Instead, the spacecraft's landing system will remain in space after the initial launch and be reused for multiple trips between orbit and the lunar surface. Mutt asserts that in the future, the Starship spacecraft could transport humans to various destinations in the solar system, including gas giants like Jupiter. However, this is still a long-term goal to achieve. To bring spacecraft back to Earth, aerospace engineers primarily rely on parachutes or vehicles designed to land on runways. But the Starship takes a different approach. When preparing to land, the spacecraft tilts to a 60-degree angle and then plunges toward the ground in a horizontal position. This descent method relies entirely on air resistance to slow the spacecraft. However, this method has the drawback of reducing Starship's stability. Therefore, the engineers installed 4 steel landing gears near the spacecraft's nose and tail to adjust its flight direction. This is like a skydiver using their hands and feet to adjust their posture during free fall. When Starship lands on the ground, it needs to slow down enough to activate the burn engines, allowing the spacecraft to flip back precisely into an upright position. Then, the Raptor engine will be fired in reverse to safely guide the vehicle to landing. Most